everybody. Welcome to podcast 8 of Brownie Knits. I'm Gina, your host, also known as Brownie Knits on Instagram and Ravelry and all those other social media sites. And I don't look like I'm in my normal setting today because we are on the road, on location, and you've heard Christina of A Knitter's Life and myself mention our third knitter friend, Carol, quite often. And today I thought I'd introduce you to Carol. So this is Carol, and she is Little CP on Ravelry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other one's different.
And then on Instagram, she's Little Britches CP, right? Mm-hmm. So I had the fortune of getting to spend a few days down here in Cincinnati, Ohio with Carol, which is always a fun time for us, and it goes by super, super fast.
Oh, yeah.
And my husband was joking when he dropped me off and said, you know, I'll pick you up on Saturday evening and you'll say it felt like 2 hours. And it's really been 3 days and 3 nights or 2 nights, whatever. So whenever our husbands kind of go out of town, we usually take the opportunity to get together and hang out. And sometimes we do a lot of yarn damage. If you watched earlier podcast episodes when we went to Simply Socks.
Yeah, that was the worst.
It's easy to do there, though. They've got such great stuff.
Yeah, I just told Sam I spent too much, but I didn't tell him how much.
He didn't admit to it.
No, he doesn't have to know every little detail.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
He's okay with it.
And then yesterday we were actually pretty good. We just went to one shop, and I bought only one skein, and Carol bought some needles. So I'll show that a little bit later, but we've been pretty well behaved.
Yeah.
So. Anyway, so I thought it would be fun to record while I was down here today. And, you know, I didn't look at the date. Let me look at that real fast. Today is actually 16th? January 16th, but this podcast won't go up until this coming Wednesday. So a little bit of a lag, but I thought it was worth it. So to start stuff off, since the last episode was when I launched my 2015 Brownie Knits block blanket along. And honestly, straight up, when I launched it, when I was designing blocks for it, I really thought it would be just Carol and I making blankets together all year long. And I didn't anticipate anything beyond that. So I've been absolutely thrilled and amazed by all of the response. So it means so much to me that each of you has signed up and is taking the time to make that. And, you know, talking on the board, the interaction's been great. And I'm just absolutely so thrilled with it. So I kind of went through and trolled a little bit on all of the accounts to see if I could figure out who all those downloads were going to. And because some people are shy and don't want to speak up in the boards, that's perfectly fine. I used to do that a lot too. So I went through and found if anybody had posted stuff. I think I got a lot of people written down. But there are a lot of you that aren't posting anything, and that's perfectly fine, but I wanted to give a shout out to you as well. So, and as an appreciation for everybody, it being so successful as a launch, I wanted to do a little drawing. So we have a little surprise giveaway of all the people who did post photos or make comments anywhere about the BK Blanket Along. Sorry, that's our tag, BK Blanket Along. So I did a random draw out of all the names that I found, and the winner, is, let me see, because we've got a couple winners this week. This week's winner, or this time's winner, is Nan Marie, Nancy from Florida, and Nancy is one of our adventurous beginners. So she is taking on the challenge wholeheartedly and really going full force with learning a lot on the block blanket. So congratulations for doing that, Nancy, and for winning a little skein of yarn.
Pretty.
So this is the Malabrigo sock yarn, and the color is terracotta, and it's just a really pretty orange color.
It's really pretty. I think it's showing up better now that you're holding it farther away.
Yeah.
I think the color, but it's really pretty.
It's just gorgeous.
Rich color.
And let's see how many yards. They have 440 yards, so it's really good yardage. You could use it for socks. You could use it for a shawl. Just be all kinds of things. So Congratulations, Nancy.
Congrats.
And I'll let this be out a little bit. So if you do watch the podcast, you can find out that way. And then after a week or so, I'll send you an email to get your address so I can get that email to you. So congratulations. I also, before going off the topic of the block, because the next block will be released the first Wednesday in February. Let me get the date for you. That's February 4th, so we'll have block 2 coming out. Before I do that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about gauge and yarn choice for the block. A lot of people are just using whatever they have in their stash. That's great. I'm all about reducing stash and giving that challenge. And a lot of people, if you haven't checked out Tilly Trout's podcast, she's actually doing a stash, what is she calling it? Stash reduction, something like that, all year long. So if you keep track in there of your projects and tag them with how she instructs you to, then she'll do little prizes all year.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, and then I think there's going to be a big winner who does the most yardage or meters or whatever in the year.
Too bad you didn't do it last year.
I know I did a lot of stash reduction last year.
Done, yeah.
But anyway, so people are using different weights of yarn and getting different gauges. And a lot of people, when you make something that's not a garment to wear, don't do a gauge swatch. So a lot of people didn't do that for the block blanket. That's completely fine. I myself often don't do that.
Too,
yeah. So, but I did want to mention that if you aren't getting 4.5 stitches to an inch and 6.5 rows to an inch, it could be a number of things. It could be maybe you're just a loose knitter or a tight knitter.
Right.
It could be your yarn choice. And I wanted to talk a little bit about Barocco Vintage. On the yarn label, it is a worsted, and in my opinion, it's a little bit of a lighter worsted. It gets 4.5 stitches on a 7 and 5 stitches on an 8. And it's I believe it's 50% acrylic, 10% nylon, and 40% wool. And it is washable wool. Like you can pop it in the washing machine. It does really well, actually.
You've used it a lot for
I
your
have,
blankets,
yeah. But I think a lot of people who are getting, the only thing that it will do to your blanket, your blocks will be bigger than approximately 12 by 12.
Right.
And I say approximately 12 by 12 because on block 1, it's a little bit bigger than 12 by 12 in order to get that 10 stitch repeat to work out in the center.
Right.
Some blocks won't have that many stitches in the center. They might have less because they have a lace motif that we're then going to block the heck out of to get it to size. So if you're getting a bigger block or a smaller block, somebody out there was using sport weight, which I think would be a cute little blanket for somebody, you might get a smaller block then. So I just thought I'd hold up. This is the Vintage, so you could kind of see how thin it is.
Yeah.
So it is a true worsted. It's not an Aran weight.
Right.
And this is Carol's swatch, unblocked. That's the other thing that can make a big difference. If you,
You might notice mine's wonkier than yours would be. You know what
Oh,
I mean?
'cause you
Mine
do-
gets really, especially sometimes with the edges, they kind of
yeah,
curl a lot because
Yeah.
I'm so tight when I start, I think, too. I tend to loosen up as I'm working it.
moving along.
Mm-hmm.
And you use different. This swatch had different.
That's just one.
Oh,
needle.
so this one needle. Okay.
I started with a size 8 because I know I'm a tighter knitter than you are.
Uh-huh.
But I did maybe that much of it or something, and then I measured it just with a thing.
Yeah.
It was wrong, so I just ripped it out.
Yeah.
'Cause I knew it
So
wouldn't work.
Carol's going to use a 9 for her blanket. Some people might need to use a 6 if they're using Vintage to get.
Yeah.
So everybody just has different tension. It's just kind of how it is. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
And you don't want to really change your tension. You
Right.
want to change your needle because if you're trying to change your tension, then you're not enjoying the knitting, and that is the whole point.
Yeah.
So the rest of the blocks in the block blanket will be set up so that you can just knit to a deeper depth to match your wider width if your row gauge isn't already changed and making up for the difference. So if you're already getting, let's say you're getting 4 stitches to the inch and your row gauge is 7 rows to an inch, then you're already bigger in both stitches and rows than my blanket. So your block should probably come out square anyway. But if you're still getting 6.5, you might need to do more rows, or you might need to adjust your rows to get the depth that you need if your block is wider. And if so, most of the other blocks, I'll be able to just say knit until it's about approximately an inch or so short of your desired depth. And you'll be able to do that. Right. Block 2 is a little bit different. So when I introduce block 2 next month, I will tell you how to kind of accommodate that, because it's going to be a centered motif. So a little hint for you, a centered motif.
That's pretty.
Yeah, it is really pretty. And I also wanted to note that we have garter on the top, bottom, and sides. And I did that intentionally because the garter is really stretchy and can help you really fudge. Yeah. So if you have some blocks that have more rows than other blocks, which there will be, because if you have like a cable or a textured stitch, for instance, it will draw it in and down. So you need more rows and stitches to make up for that. And so when you go to seam your sides together, that garter can really stretch to accommodate a larger block next to, or a more rows in depth next to it, and things like that. So that's something that I wanted to mention too. It really can help a lot. So I've been kind of worrying myself sick about making sure that everybody's happy with the blocks and that all of my future design blocks were exactly 12 by 12. They're not going to be. They're approximate because you have to accommodate the stitch count in between. And then there are going to be certain blocks that I tell you, block the heck out of it to get to be the desired size you want. And that's because of a lace or a different motif that we want to really show up.
If you use 100% wool, that shouldn't be too much of a
problem. If you use 100%
right?
wool, it should,
you can
really pull. Yeah, so. And conversely, on the first block, which is the slants block, it does have kind of a ribbing effect to it. You don't want to block that all the way out. So if you leave some of that texture showing, you can, when you block it, you can kind of block it in a little bit too.
It gives it kind of a dimensional
effect,
right? Yeah,
exactly. And if that block is particularly large for you and you find your other blocks aren't that large after you block them, you can put that one on a corner and that will just totally melt away.
Can you reblock them too? And
yeah, absolutely. You can always reblock
not stretch
any.
them as much and pin
Yep.
them so they're not.
Yep. The only thing that I find doesn't always reblock well, I mean, linen, once you get certain fibers stretched or to a different shape, they don't really bounce back. I find linen to not do that, and then maybe alpaca a little bit.
Yeah.
So Christina could probably tell us more about that. She's our fiber queen.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Alpaca would be a nice.
That'd be cozy. So anyway, that's all I'll say about that this month. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. Please, feel free to send me a message, comment on Ravelry, Instagram, whatever. So, all right. Let's see. Next up, I had finished objects. I've been really busy designing the blocks, and I don't want to show you those before it's time. So that's been most of my knitting time. But I did finish one of my IU socks, and if you've watched the previous podcast, you know that I'm knitting 8 rows per game of the IU basketball season to reflect their win-loss record. And we're halfway through the season because I included exhibition and preseason. So I have one sock done.
It's pretty. I love that shade of red. It's like kind of my favorite. I'm not a big cherry red.
Right.
Tomato
like
red.
a
I
bright.
don't care for tomato red. I'm me.
Yeah.
Like I'm red, but I really like a rich, deep red.
Yeah, this is. I use colors are cream and crimson, so I really a lot of times that gets translated into red and white. But I went with this because I thought it really was cream and crimson.
I agree.
And yeah, so when they won, I used the crimson.
Is this the afterthought?
It is an afterthought
I haven't actually ever done that. That's kind of cool looking.
Yeah. I thought it came out pretty well.
Yeah, it looks good.
So I used the crimson is Yarn Hollow, and then the cream is a Madeline Tosh sock. And it worked out quite well because I think I've mentioned before the IU basketball team wears their candy stripe warm-up pants, and they're very well known for that. And so they have the stripes, and it worked out well.
Yeah, it's cute.
So far, my toe on the second one is all red right now, but that won't last. We're in conference play, and that just won't last.
Yeah.
But
they're cute.
Yeah, I thought it turned out really well. And I'm super excited because I think one of the episodes in February, I'll be able to include a little snippet of a video inside of Assembly Hall, which is where the Hoosiers play. And I'm going to try to record, they call it the greatest timeout in NCAA basketball, at least the Hoosier fans do. It's really crazy. They do like these huge flags, and they have like this whole pomp and circumstance that they do in the under 8 timeout in the second half. And it's just really fun. They do the fight song and all of that stuff, so it's just really fun.
It's so cute to me that you like basketball so much.
I know, because I don't like sport. I'm not a sports person. I watch the Olympics a lot.
But that's different because those are all those unique.
Yeah. I'll sit for hours watching curling. When would you ever do that?
Yeah, but they're kind of weirdly mesmerizing, sort of. So I like it too.
Yeah, there's a funny story about the Olympics. One year, Carol and I have known each other for this year. It'll be 20 years, which is amazing to me. 20 years, and
that's a good problem.
I know it is. Yeah. It is good. And when I started my first real job out of college, Carol was assigned as my mentor.
I feel like I'm blushing.
And we just became really close friends and learned a lot from Carol, not just about that job, but just about life in general. And so we've known each other a really long time. So I can't even remember what Olympics it was, but we were at my apartment and I had like we were watching the opening ceremony. We had a bunch of girls over and we got pizzas and all this stuff. And I kept waiting for Celine Dion to sing. Yeah. And I kept saying, when is Celine Dion going to sing? And they kept saying, at the end. Well, I thought they meant at the end of the opening ceremonies that night, and they meant at the closing ceremony.
Well, we weren't really clear.
So,
but we were like, why?
But it was...
You should keep asking. What are you not getting?
I probably asked it like 10 times. Yeah. Like, this thing's never going to be over until Celine sings.
When's she coming on? Isn't it getting close to the end?
It was funny. It was really funny. And then one Olympics, I actually won tickets to go and attend the Olympic Games in Atlanta, and I could take a friend. So Carol and I went down. It was so much fun. It was really fun. It was blazing.
Those nasty southern Midwest.
Yeah, it was humid.
It was worse than here in the summer with the humidity.
Yeah, it was really humid.
And I think they were selling like beer and stuff everywhere, and we didn't even consider it because we were so hot.
No.
All we could stand the thought of was water.
And I remember standing, I think we were going to see volleyball, and we got caught in the rain.
Oh.
And then the baseball game, you had to walk. Like, it felt like we were walking across Atlanta. Like, you literally were walking across this huge bridge that you would never walk on.
Yeah.
And it was so hot, but it was worth it because we got to see USA versus Italy, and they were so cute. And we were right behind home plate. I remember eating lemon ices and enjoying the view.
Yeah. But I remember thinking the whole time, I'm so hot.
Yeah, it was very, very warm. It was really hot.
Well, that was the year they had that bombing, that awful.
Yeah, like we had just driven home, and I walked in my apartment and turned on the TV, and the bombing had gone off. And the night before, Carol and I had been in the park very near where that had happened because I think Faith Hill and she was kind of up and coming then. Faith Hill and somebody else were playing for free.
I don't remember. You remember better than I do.
Yeah, so anyway, I'm not really a sports person outside of college basketball. In the Olympics. So that was the only finished project I have, other than what I have on. And I have on...
I've never seen you wear that.
Well, I get really hot. So.
It's such a beautiful shade. I'm like gazing at you. I feel like I'm staring at your chest, which I'm not. Don't get weirded out. But it's just so pretty. And of course, it's Madeline Tosh.
Yeah, it is Madeline Tosh.
Not that it's not your handiwork that's beautiful.
No, but Madeline Tosh makes everything pop. Anyway, this one's Well Water. The pattern is the Tea Leaves Cardigan by Melissa Labar, and you can get it. It's a for-purchase pattern that you can find in Ravelry, probably on the Madeline Tosh site too. And I did short sleeves on mine. Carol made the long sleeves. And what's your color?
Amber trinket.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
And Carol's buttons all the way down. I
actually did that, but I get cold really easily.
Yeah, and I stay hot.
My stomach always got cold. So I finally, like a couple years after I made it, I ripped out the button band and reknit it and did buttons all the way down. And I like it a lot better that way.
And when I
that
originally,
way too, if I do get hot, I can just take it off.
When I originally did this, I got enough yarn to match to make the little tea leaves cardigan for my niece. Oh. And then she moved to Florida right away. Oh, well, yeah. So, oh well. So I used that to design something else. But and I think you had a few finished items too.
What should I
do you want to use? Here, I'll put. You show the and I'll put this on here.
Can't I think of the name? The Falling Leaf?
Life of Leaves.
This is the Life of Leaves shawl by A Knitter's Life, our friend Christina. And I did a test knit for her of her shawl. And this is in Madeline Tosh sock.
Can you tell we like color? Madeline Tosh?
Hey man, you might
Ember. So this is Amber Trinket and this one's Ember.
And this is I feel like I blocked bigger and then it shrank back on me. Maybe,
you know, that happens because
I feel like it was, more like that.
Yeah.
And I blocked it with blocking wires and pins and.
Yeah, that can happen.
Well, I don't really wear shawls, so I would probably wear it like, kerchiefy type of thing.
It's just so pretty. And that color really looks good on you.
Thank you. I don't know if you can even see. I guess you can sort of see the lace a little better. I really like this. I like it all.
Yeah.
I really like the pattern at the bottom. I'm not showing it very well. And I really like the lace one at the top. With like the
it's pretty
leaf type of thing.
So if you haven't watched Christina's podcast, which is a Knitter's Life podcast, she did talk about her Life of Leaf shawl in one of her episodes. She was inspired by the changing of the leaves from how they were full in summer and then all the way to where it was the bare branches. And the shawl kind of reflects that. So it's a really cool concept and just a really nice pattern.
Yeah, it's kind of like the lace opens up more and more the farther along you get seasonally.
Yeah.
So it was really fun to knit. It's really pretty. She did a really nice job with the pattern too.
Yeah. It is charted and written, so.
And then these are my belated Christmas socks.
I love the colors.
It's cute, isn't it?
Well, hold it up so I can see.
This is from Simply Sock Company. Their post yarn in the Jollyville colorway.
It's so cute.
So I think you can see it pretty well.
Yeah.
I really like the pink and the sort of turquoisey robin's egg blue type of color.
I like this one.
Yeah.
And
they're fun.
You guys have heard me talk about Simply Socks in Fort Wayne before. They have a huge online presence. So if you're not in Indiana, you can easily get, it's absolutely great. And they're in an old post office, right? Which is why it's post yarn. Yeah. So it took me forever to figure that out. I felt really stupid then.
They do sometimes sell out of their like special
their kits
colorways
and stuff.
Did you order that kit?
I didn't.
I wanted to, but
I always want to order all their kits.
I know, but I talked myself out of it. No,
yeah.
My dog's misbehaving. No.
Hi, Earl.
Go lie down.
You're okay.
No,
he's doing what Kennedy does. Who are they talking to?
I've been trying to get him to lie down. Come here. It's okay.
So those are our finished projects. Our works in progress. Let's see. What do I want to talk about? What do I have in progress? Well, I've been working on my snood, but I just showed that last time, so I don't want to show that again. And like I said, I've been doing a lot of the block designing, so I don't have a huge amount that I've been working on. But I saw everybody's scrappy crochet blankets that they were making, and a lot of them are doing it out of fingering weight, and they're really small. And one of the things that I had as a goal for 2015 was to organize my stash, and I did that last week. I went through absolutely every piece of yarn I had in my house and put it all in Ravelry, took pictures, uploaded it, divided it into bins, and pulled out things that I knew I wanted to make this year. And I had these huge baskets and bags full of leftover yarn bits from previous projects. Things that have been there forever that I was never going to use. I knew I was never going to use them. So I had a serious conversation with myself, and I kept...
when you say that, I had a good talk with myself.
Yeah, we had a good talk. So I kept all of the DK and worsted that were leftover designer yarns. And then I kept all the fingering, and then everything else just went away. So I pulled out the other day.
What were the designer yarns predominantly?
Oh, Madeline Tosh.
Gee.
So
Is
I've
this
been.
the flossy one?
Yeah.
I love that colorway.
This was from Flossie, or from Madeline Tosh. There's Magnolia Society Club. I was in that quite a few years ago, and this was one of their yarns. And then I made the Flossie hat out of it, and this was the leftover from that. So I'm just really making your standard granny square in the center. Let's see, this blue one should show it better.
Yeah.
Some of them are worsted, some of them are DK. See, I think it is, yeah.
It's a pretty one too.
And so that has your standard granny square in the middle and then just grows out. I'll put up a little blog post in the future in case you want to do this exact thing. And what I'm doing, because I had different yardage mounts left over from everything.
Okay, a little block here.
Oh. One of them just fell into the teacup. Anyway, whatever I have left over, I'm getting as much as I can out of it. So I'm going to have these varying sizes in my blocks, and then we'll put them together like a little puzzle.
That's so cute.
So I'm not sure how small or big the blanket will be. I knit with and crochet with Madeline Tosh so much that I'll probably just have this as an ongoing project and seam them together what I already have, and then it'll just, every time I have something left over, I'll make it and put it on there. So.
And you whipped up most of these last night.
I
I
started.
had to step out for a few hours for some.
Carol's in a handbell choir, which I just think is so fun. And you're also in a singing choir for church.
They're for my church, yeah.
Yeah. So she was at practice last night, and while she was at practice, I hung out with Earl the dog and the two cats. And I binge watched Honorable Woman on Netflix.
You were so excited.
I was like,
I totally got sucked in.
I did. I was like, mesmerized. No, I was just crocheting away. So yeah, I have
You showing me how you were just.
I was going really fast.
Like
so I have all these. I mean, I don't know how many blocks I have.
This is that William Morris colorway.
I love that one.
I love it. Too.
Yeah.
Just because it's got that little hint of, it's a rich brown. It's got a little hint of.
It's got some blues every now and then in it.
It shows up a little bit.
Yeah. And so that's what I've kind of been doing. It's kind of a nice mindless thing because I put a lot of pressure on myself about my designs. And I really want everybody to be completely happy with the blocks. And so I really can beat myself up a lot while I'm doing design work. And I've been doing almost exclusively the last few weeks. So this is kind of a nice project to take my mind off of things and just ease up on myself a little bit. So nobody out there will ever be as hard on me as I am to myself, I think. I'm really, really bad about it. Yeah. So anyway, here's my little stack so far.
You've got a good start.
Yeah, it's going pretty well. No, it's fine.
Oh, okay.
And then, Carol, what have you been working on?
Oh, mostly socks, I suppose. And I need to get back to I think I finally cast on the block for your block blanket.
Yeah.
Because I've just been a little busy, and so I casted that on last night, but there's hardly anything to show. So.
But you see us from here up in our lovely Tosh, but we're actually in matching fleece penguin pajama bottoms. These will come off and t-shirts will go on, and we're going to sit in our jammies all day and knit today.
Sitting on Jim Jams.
Jim Jams.
I think I heard David Tennant say that when he was
the Jim
Doctor
Jams.
Who.
I loved him as Doctor Who.
My Jim Jams.
I loved him.
And my poor British accent. No offense to any British watchers. I love British accents.
I know. I can listen to him forever.
Yeah. So, I have a finished sock.
So when Carol and I went to Simply Socks together, I don't know when that was.
Like October or
something like that. Yeah. We both bought the Turtle Pearl Snow White, so we're gonna have matching Snow Whites. We have a lot of matching things.
At least we don't mind that we.
We don't,
do
and
that.
we live. Oh, that was the other thing I was gonna say. I had a lot of international viewers were asking me where's Indiana? because they'll hear me say it's in the Midwest. And so that makes you think it's like closer to the western United States. It's not at all. Like we're actually in the eastern time zone.
Mississippi, I guess.
Yeah, we're east of the Mississippi.
That's not going to mean anything to people.
My house is, sorry, I'm not used to this new mic, so I'm sure that didn't sound very well. But anyway, my house is 3 hours south of Chicago.
Yeah.
So I'm southeast. Yeah, southeast of Chicago by 3 hours. And then Carol's house is in Cincinnati, Ohio, and she's 2 hours southeast from my house.
Yes.
So we're currently 5 hours away from Chicago. So we're much closer to, say, New York than we are California. To give you kind of a concept. I know it has to be really difficult because the United States is so big.
Huge, yeah.
I know when I have gone to Europe, I'm just always struck by how close everything is.
I think that is so cool though, because
It
they
is
can
cool.
just hop on a train.
Yeah.
Of course, the trains in my mind are all like,
we have
British mysteries.
I think a lot of Americans,
Orient Express or something.
a lot of Americans have a very idealistic view of England, especially, but definitely Europe as well. So we're very jealous of.
I think it's neat. You can just hop on a train and travel a few hours, and you're in a completely
Yeah,
different
it's
country.
crazy.
And culturally,
And
things are
the New
different.
England states, because
They
when
have
I got engaged, we got engaged in New Hampshire. We went on a trip, and we hit so many New England states, and you just pop them off. They're really close together. So,
But like if you want to go to Colorado and you have to drive through Kansas, it's like a 7 or 8 hour drive just through Kansas.
trust me, we went on a trip once, and we were driving back on my birthday, and I drove 8 hours from Colorado through. Oh my gosh, it was kind of nuts.
Yeah.
I think the dog's hung up in my yarn.
Oh.
Here you go.
Oh, it's
Take
okay,
a
boy.
step. There you go. You're
Sorry,
good.
excuse us. You can edit that out.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. So you had your socks. Anything else you wanted to show? You good?
I'm kind of, everything's barely started.
Yeah.
I have like almost half of my other one. But this is turtle pearl yarn, which I know Gina talks about a lot. And this is the first one I've tried of it because I'm like, I got to try that turtle pearl because she keeps raving about it. It is wonderful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It is the softest sock yarn I've knit with. But it's predominantly merino.
Yeah.
But it does have nylon in it.
It
But
does.
They use a softer quality.
I don't know how they
merino
do it.
base or
Well,
something.
I think a lot of has the 4-ply causes the
Right.
roundedness, and it's just so nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. And then so I've been ordering a little bit more.
Yeah, which nicely transitions us into new things. So we recently got together, Carol and I, with our good friend Tanya, and Tanya is like this Miss Athletic, like mountain biker, runner, yoga, like
Marathoner.
she's just
Or mini
really.
marathon, but
I
still.
wish I was as healthy as Tanya.
Me too.
So
She has
And-
to sometimes.
she's very patient with us when we knit or talk about knitting.
Yeah.
Although she gets a little glassy
Her
eye.
eyes start to glaze a little
Yeah.
bit. And we're like, okay, we better end the.
But we
the knitting
did
talk.
we did get together with Tanya last weekend and had a little gift exchange for our Christmas.
It was fun.
And Carol gifted me with this bag,
That is so cute.
and the bag is from Bird Leg Bags.
I
and
love her bags.
It's little. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
And little Sherlock Holmes and Watson, and I'm really bad about knowing who the girl is.
I don't remember either. Someone can tell you.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys know.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm also not awake still.
and yeah,
That's my excuse.
poor Carol. She was up from 4:45 yesterday morning until pretty late. So
Yeah, that was a long day for me.
me, I was up till 1 a.m. in the guest room, binge watching more Honorable Woman on Netflix on my
Is
iPad.
she really an honorable woman or more like
I
a
don't
dishonorable
know.
woman?
I don't know yet.
Oh, yes.
So that was. Oh, I want to show the inside of the bag.
Yeah, I love the inside too.
The inside is so cute. It's
She's
houndstooth.
even got it on the little edge, the little.
It's so
tab.
adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. The houndstooth. It's just so cute.
Yeah, and she has an Etsy shop. She ships very quickly.
Very fast.
I think
yeah.
I ordered that on a Friday before Christmas.
Well, at least
And
where
I
we
got it
are,
by
we get it
Monday.
really.
Yeah, 'cause
she's
she's
in
not too far.
Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
so
But anyway, sometimes that's I like that when they can get
Yeah.
it shipped quickly. So thanks, Bird Lake Bags.
Yeah.
And
And
they
then
also sell them a lot at Simply Socks.
they do, which is
I
how we
swear I'm
came
not
across
paid
them.
from
I
Simply
know.
Socks to
I feel
promote
like
it,
every
but I love
episode,
that
I feel
store.
like I talk about Madeline Tosh, Turtle Pearl, Bird Lake Bags, and Simply Socks.
Well, everybody's
And
got
everybody out there
favorites.
is going, yes, you do, Gina.
Sorry.
So why not continue the trend?
Yeah.
Inside the bag was this City Girl colorway from Turtle Pearl.
Love it.
So cute. I'll be casting these on today after I get my
I'm
crochet
jealous
blocks
'cause
done.
I'm not ready to cast mine on
You
yet.
need to knit
To
faster,
finish
knit
my
faster.
Snow White. I have to finish my Snow White.
Yeah. So that was really fun. I was excited to get that. And
Well, these are
Thank
so
you.
girly. I mean, come on.
yeah, they are
Granted,
really
they are
girly.
called City Girl, but it's like purple and pinks and a little gold kind of in
It
it.
is really cute.
I just think they're fun. Anyway, we're
So
going on that.
those were some of my new acquisitions. I did pick up
And some Jim Jams.
and Jim Jams,
think
yeah,
you showed
little
those, huh?
sheepies. I showed them on Instagram, yeah. And then yesterday at Hank, which is here in Cincinnati,
Yeah, that's a cute store.
I just love. They actually have a little like yarn ball with needles on that. That's 3-dimensional on that side of their building. It's really cute.
Okay.
So I picked this up. Wow, I definitely have a theme. Madeline Tosh Tosh sock in sand dune, and this
really
is going to
pretty.
be one of the curls shawls out of Hunter Hammerson. Is that her name? Yeah,
Hammerson,
Hammerson's curls book. I noticed on the Innocent podcast that one of the girls there is knitting her way through that book, and I just thought they were such
They're really
cute shawls.
pretty. Really
like,
wearable.
yeah, and I'm like you. I like to wear it like wrapped in the front around my neck, and
Yeah.
those really seem to
Sort of
lend
scarfy
themselves
like
to that.
kerchief.
So I did go through my stash and pulled out yarn that would work from my stash for those,
Yeah.
but I thought this really would work nicely.
It's the color's not showing up very well on screen, but it's really
There you go.
it's a rich color.
There,
There, that's
they're
better,
showing
yeah.
up really well.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
So those are all my new acquisitions.
We may have to go out today so you can find some more.
We'll see. Well, and
just joking.
one of the reasons we might is because I signed up. One of my other goals for the year
That's right. Yeah.
was to participate in more knit-alongs and some swaps. So I've wanted for years to sign up on the swap for all seasons or seasons for all, swap for all seasons. And you get assigned a swap partner, and 4 times a year you send them a package, and I just thought it sounded like a lot of fun. You do have to make something that's in at least one made item in each package. But I asked for an international swap partner because I think that would be really fun to share different cultures with each other and maybe get yarns that we can't get in our home countries.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I think that'll be fun. But if you go to Ravelry, the Swap for All Seasons 2015 board, the signups are open until January 30th. And then the swap partners will be announced in the beginning of February. So if you're interested in signing up, you can go in there in Ravelry and do that. It would be fun. Let's see what else I had. I think, so on the Brownie Knits Ravelry group, I had the Getting to Know You thread, which I loved. I just love that thread. Reading through it was just so interesting. Yeah. And if you filled out the information for those questions, then you were entered for our giveaway that gets announced today. And our giveaway yarn is this gorgeous skein from Miss Babs. It's her Cosmic, and it's called Distant Worlds. It's just beautiful. It is a sock fingering weight. It's got some purples in there and grays and browns and creams. So I did a random drawing for this.
Okay.
And our winner is I Knit One Purl Two, and that's Barbie in Pennsylvania.
That's a cute name.
So congratulations.
Congrats, Barbie.
And she shared
Really pretty.
her favorite pattern that she had made was the Hogwarts Express shawl, and it was gorgeous. So if you haven't read through that thread, you can pop up there. And I actually found quite a few things from people's favorite patterns that I'm probably going to knit. So that was fun to see. I am working on coming up with our next giveaway. The giveaway will actually be drawn for in March. And because I'm such a big NCAA basketball fan, I want to do some kind of theme around March Madness. And if you aren't in the States and you don't know what March Madness is, I'll explain that in the future.
Yeah.
But I'll come up with something where you guys can enter for that giveaway for March between now and then. But I'm still kind of thinking on it, noodling on it a little bit. But in the meantime, I started a thread on the Ravelry group. Patrick and I really like to play games a lot, board games, card games. And when I had Tanya and Carol over, we played Karma, which I mentioned on my last podcast. And the girls loved it. We had a great time. And so I thought I'd start a thread of like, what are your favorite board and card games? So if you have any that are great for two people, that's wonderful. I'd love that. But we do have, company over and play a fair amount of games that way too. So
it's a nice thing for the winter, especially.
Very much. And then in the spring and summer, we sit on the deck and play a lot at night. So that's kind of nice.
Yeah. You should tell them what my husband. What are you guys going to do when you visit? Last weekend,
Sam.
And I said, well, we're gonna have pizza, and then we can't really talk knitting as much because we don't want to bore our friend Tanya, and which is fine. And I said, well, Gina's got a card game we're gonna play, and we'll talk. And he's like,
the whole time
you're gonna play a card game. I'm like, oh yeah, it'll pass like that because we'll be talking the entire time. He's
I think
like,
we played like
about?
for 4 hours,
I don't know.
we talked about everything.
Yeah.
Just catching up.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, it's time to go home.
It was a really fun day.
Yeah.
So if you have a favorite card or board game, go ahead and share up there. I think that's an interesting thread as well. So I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I didn't forget anything. I think I'm all good. So again, I'm Gina, and I'm Brownie Knits, all one word, on Instagram and Ravelry. And you can also find me on brownieknits.com and on Etsy. And if you want to join in the blanket along, our hashtag for Instagram and Ravelry projects is BK Blanket Along. And the downloads are free. They're up in Ravelry and on my brownieknits.com site. And please do join the Brownie Knits Ravelry group. And thanks so much for watching the podcast. And thanks to Carol for letting us record here on location. Yep. So, great. All right, well, happy knitting and crocheting, everyone. Bye-bye.